Hey everybody, welcome back to this video series where we're discussing the issues that a lot of guitar players face when it comes to not having the best of gear and the feelings of inadequacy and possibly some shame and embarrassment, maybe if you don't have certain quality of gear. Today we're talking about how to find the gold that's in your pedal board. Part one of this video, we are going to just talk about some basics on what this delay pedal is, what the characteristics tonally are, and then in part two, we're going to do a deep dive on finding some tricks that this thing has up its sleeve and finding every bit of tone and gold that this thing has to offer. And to get part two of this video on this delay pedal, there's a link in the description below. Click on that, put in your email address, and you will be sent part two of this video series on this delay pedal. All right, here we go. Okay, so in worship guitar playing, probably right after the amp tone, as far as importance, we start getting into the ambient and start getting into the time-based effects. Utilizing space and sounding bigger than you are, especially if you're the only guitar player in a church band or in your personal worship team or whatever, sometimes you need to sound like more. And what better way to sound like more than to have a delay pedal that is literally repeating yourself? So delay is a really powerful tool and I use it extensively. I use it probably too much. When we were building this pedal board, I chose this TC Electronics Tape Echo pedal. Now, the reason I like Tape Echo, it's not as dark and it keeps your repeats and the effect really kind of bright and towards the front of the mix. So in this sonic example, we got the amp tone, I have the compression on, feeling good. This does not have a tap tempo, so you kind of have to like turn the knob for the time knob to find, a good tempo relative to the song you're playing. But the thing I like about this pedal is the knobs are huge. And if you need to kick the knob with your foot, it's pretty easy. You can slow it down. You can do a faster delay time. Or if you want to do a slower thing. And if you see a lot of guitar players have some type of floating trim or Bigsby on their guitar or whatnot, and that little warble in the tone gets reflected in the repeats. So I always start with making sure that my mix level, how loud the delay is going to be, isn't going to just overpower. Because I feel like this is a hard thing to get right, because you want your guitar to sound like your guitar. You don't want it to sound just like this big repeating mess. Say you have your mix knob up pretty high and you're trying to play something that's a little faster in your, as far as like chord movements and stuff. That repeat is too loud compared to the volume of the guitar. So for me, I always kind of pull the mix back a little bit to make sure that the guitar and the actual note is just getting followed. The delay pedal's not trying to compete with the guitar, if that makes sense. So the delay is only meant to be just a gentle accompaniment, in my opinion. That's how I use it. Great. And then also making sure that the repeats, the amount of times that it repeats isn't too high. Certain pedals like this one, you can get into trouble because, watch this. That would literally go forever. And it gets really muddy, really just a lot of unnecessary buildup. So making sure that your repeats aren't going to go forever and ever and ever. You kind of want them just to be there for just a moment and then move on. To where you really almost kind of hear this, just the 1, 2 after the original note is played, about there, that's all you kind of want. And then it just becomes your guitar after that. That's how I'm using this delay pedal, and I think tape echo is a great choice to do that because it stays out of the way of the weight of the guitar. That's the basic function of delay and why I would use it in worship music. There's also a little switch here that says mod on or off. The mod is essentially what we did with the Bigsby arm here. Helps if you're on. If you say you maybe don't have a guitar that has a tremolo system and you want a little bit of that movement, having this mod switch on gives you that. Just a little bit on the repeats. But why not have more? Just, if less is more, just think about how much more would be. I found the more that when your tone is kind of pushing against the pitch a little bit, you're able to stand out more in the mix and you're able to be more present and you not get lost in the mix. So that's part 1, covering just some basics of this pedal. Part 2 is gonna cover a lot more of maybe some tricks that we can get out of this and to see what's fully possible with this pedal. Click the link in the description below, put in your email address and be on the lookout for part 2 in your email. Here we go, part 2.